With the first batch of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine arriving in the capital on Monday, questions still remain on what the rollout will look like across the province and here in our city. The head of the COVID-19 Vaccine Distribution Task Force says we are ready here in Ottawa to begin administering the vaccine as soon as we get it. Now, this comes as Ontario hits a daily record number of new COVID cases, nearly 2,000 reported yesterday. So, is the vaccine strategy headed in the right direction? And when will we see our cases in the province come down? Here with more, University of Ottawa epidemiologist Dr. Raywat Deonandan. Good morning, Dr. Deonandan. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
There's been, of course, a lot of reaction to this in the last 24, 48 hours. It seems to be the talk of the town, but still some trepidation with it. Not everyone saying, yay, the vaccine is coming. Some people still a little unsure. Where is your head at this morning around the new vaccine coming to Ottawa?
I'm enormously optimistic about it, and when it's my turn, I'm going to roll up my arm and accept that shot gratefully. I understand people's trepidation. I think it's new. Anyone's a little bit nervous about having a new thing put into their body. But rest assured, we're doing everything we would have done for any other kind of biologic in assessing the safety and so forth. So this is our best chance to get back to society level normal, and I think it's a really good chance. So I'm optimistic.
What change do you think for the province? Because it was just a week, 2 weeks ago that we were reporting, not even that long ago, we were reporting that we would not be seeing it here in Ottawa because we are not considered a hot zone, that the first doses that would arrive in this province will go to the hot zones, Toronto, Peel, where we're seeing the higher numbers of COVID-19 cases. Yet we heard from General Rick Hillier yesterday saying Ottawa was selected some weeks ago, he says, as a site, a good place to test the logistics chain outside of Toronto. Was it political pressure? What happened, do you think?
Well, nobody knows. All things are possible. It could have been that those early rumors were false to begin with. It makes sense, though, to do things in Ottawa. We're a fairly well-contained but largest city that is good compliance and has access to a variety of institutions, including hospitals and long-term care centers. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was always on the table. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was off the table briefly, then put back on when there is some outcry. So who knows how these things work? I'm just happy we're getting it.
Let's talk about the order of things. So we've been told that the 3,000 vials that will be here and start going into the arms on Tuesday will be going to the Ottawa hospitals, healthcare workers who work in long-term care and also work in very high-risk settings. How should we follow that order?
Well, that's a pretty good way to start. Now, it should go on the basis of risk. So who's at most risk of being exposed, being at risk of being infected, and at risk of dying. So doctors are at high risk of being infected, doctors and nurses. Teachers, for example, are at high risk of being exposed. And the elderly, of course, are at high risk of dying. So I think next should be long-term care residents and elderly, those over 80 and so forth. Then down the road, those with a large number of exposures like teachers and mass transit drivers and so forth. For the rest of us, we're going to have to wait several months until we have a mass deployment and availability of vaccines, so probably well into the spring.
When the rollout starts next week, at least in our city, how soon will it be before we can start lifting restrictions or maybe even getting a general sense of feeling a little bit safer?
It's going to be a long time, unfortunately. So we're only getting a few thousand doses. That's not a lot for a population of 1 million people in Ottawa. Ontario-wide, we're getting, I think, 6,000 doses total just next week. And we have 14,000 doctors, 100,000 nurses, 70,000 long-term care residents. It's not barely a drop in the bucket. So it's going to be probably until the summer when we start seeing something resembling normality. And masks and so forth will be continued to being worn, I think, well into the fall.
Having the vaccine here in our city, even though it's a low number at 3,000, like you said, and we've got a lot of people to inoculate here in a city of 1 million, do you worry that there could be a little bit of superficial optimism ahead of the holidays, the fact that we got that vaccine here, that it might psychologically allow us to feel safer and get together with family when really we shouldn't be?
100%. That is my deepest worry right now. And I'm hearing it already from whisperings in various corners that people do not feel that the crisis is still with us because, hey, there's a solution. The solution will not be here for many months. In fact, the next 2 months in Ontario and Canada are going to be probably the worst of the pandemic. So expect a lot of suffering. We have it in our power to diminish that suffering by voluntarily restricting the number of exposures that we have daily in our regular lives. So I encourage people to celebrate the holidays in your own family and do not go to multiple households, and just reduce the number of exposures you have.
Always great to chat with you, Dr. Raywat Deonandan, epidemiologist at the University of Ottawa. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.